Hey, this is Nicole Kelly, host of Disarming Disability. Thanks for listening to the following show on Public House Media.
This is Dr. Mariah White, host of Your Life Matters, here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Your Life Matters, where we talk about dreaming big and dreaming bold to reach your wildest dreams in both your health and your happiness. A new show comes out every single Tuesday. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of Your Life Matters. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Welcome to the C. Jane Sell podcast,
a relatable sales podcast for your weekly dose of sanity. I'm your host, Chelsea Dupre.
and I'm your host, Lee Nevis. Hi.
Hey, girl.
Welcome to episode 14 of the C. Jane Sell podcast.
Yes.
You can't see it, but I just did a rainbow gesture with my hands.
Yep.
Because we're really just having a good day.
Feeling it.
Yeah, feeling it. Weather looks beautiful outside. We're both kind of like
Just chill,
maybe a little deliriously tired.
Possibly. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
grinding.
Yeah, girl.
We're in P Club sweat sesh. Like,
Yeah?
now is the time. We're going to Q4.
Mm-hmm.
Got enough in the pipeline that I feel really good about.
Mm-hmm.
But pipeline and installed sold business are two very different things.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
grinding.
So you're just kind of in the middle of it.
So anybody who needs some uniforms in Louisville, let me know.
Now Chelsea, she got some goals to hit. She got to do it. Are you feeling good, though? Are you
Yeah,
feeling
I'm feeling
like...
good. I'm feeling good.
Good.
I've been putting some, like, major work in.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. You
I
just
mean,
put
I
the
think
work
for
in.
a little while, I went through kind of a little bit of a rut. This is before we started this, and I was just, you know, a little burnout. And it took a lot of digging and a lot of just putting my head down and working to get out of that. And I'm back where I was. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Good. That's awesome. And that's like, I feel like the biggest thing about burnout is that it's inevitable. It's like Thanos, you know? It's inevitable.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, in game.
Got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, did you cry?
Oh, I sobbed.
Oh, me too.
I sobbed.
And then
baby
I had to
tears.
be like super like low key about it because Adam knows when I'm gonna cry or when I'm crying, and he does this thing. Adam, if you're listening, he does this thing where he like looks over, and I can feel him, and I already feel like a total Dumbo, and he's like, "You're crying." I'm like, "I know I'm crying."
Oh my gosh.
So then I had to be like, "No, bro, I'm good."
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, chill. And I just didn't want you to see my double chin. So I had to duck my face in my,
Oh.
or I had to act like I'm like rubbing my eye. And he's like, "I know you're crying." I'm like,
Oh, I know. And then you have to, it's like all of a sudden you just came down with a cold.
yeah.
You're like,
these allergies.
wow, I have allergies
Gosh.
for the last 10 minutes of Avengers Endgame.
I don't care that he died. It's not that. It's this person.
Spoiler free, we're not telling you who died.
Yeah. Whoa.
Someone, wow, Chelsea. Wow.
Okay, y'all, if you haven't seen it yet, that's on you.
It's only been out for like a month though. Maybe.
Yeah,
not
but
a
I mean,
long
it's
time.
set records. Like, $1 billion. I mean,
That's a
like,
good
that's
point.
on you. I'm about
Yeah.
to say it, but
Don't say it. I will
Okay.
delete this. I'm very much about no spoilers.
Okay, well, because I love
Except
Lee.
Game of Thrones spoilers, because like, F that show right now.
Yeah. So, if you go to Lee's Twitter,
My Twitter is a human pile of trash that literally is just like nothing but me yelling about Game of Thrones into the void, because I'm like mad right now, and I don't know if anyone watches that show, but my cats are actually literally going. They also agree with me. They're running around. They're also angry.
upset.
I just expected so much more, and I feel like I hate when my time is wasted. It is my biggest pet peeve. I hate when people waste my time. It's like if you ask me to be somewhere at 1 p.m. and you don't show up till like 1:45, I'm mad and I don't care. And I'm going to be like, I do not like it. I have put in like 8 years of my life watching this effing series. And now all you're going to do is just F it up and have all the characters on the show just take complete nosedives and literally like, I'm just mad. I feel like my time is wasted, and that's what I don't like. I don't like my time to be wasted. Chelsea doesn't watch it, so.
Never watched it. Probably won't.
Just don't.
I feel like that's a huge time commitment. Mm-hmm. I've heard people like, it's life-changing. You've got to watch it.
Yeah, they probably said that like 3 weeks ago before it started.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, they did. Now that I'm thinking back, they're like, you've got to watch it. And it just... Yeah.
That's all right. But
yeah,
the series finale is this Sunday. Maybe by some miracle they will turn it around, but
not looking like it.
It's not looking good right now. So we're just gonna roll with the punches, and it's like a life lesson. Sometimes life doesn't work out the way you want it to.
It's inevitable.
But it's life, and it goes on. The sun will rise on Monday morning. The sun will rise on Monday morning.
Will.
And we will all know the ending to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we will.
So
I'll figure it out anyways.
I'll just text you angrily about it.
It's fine.
Yeah. Oh well.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's all that's been going on for me for the past couple weeks. Just being mad about Game of Thrones.
Follow up on a seating thing that I did. So I'll share this because I put it on our Instagram. So back for Easter, I was taking around just like cheesy little things like eggs or Peeps. Like, I want to peep at your program. Mm-hmm. You know. And I got a call back from one of those and I ended up selling the account. So
heck yeah.
Putting in that hard work, making people laugh, doing the things. Have a bunch more seaters that I am getting ready to take out and deliver and do all of the things. So I'm excited about it.
That's awesome.
It's going to be good.
And look at that. Like an actual tactic that we showed you all worked. It's almost like Chelsea's really good at this or something.
It's like I was born to sell uniforms.
She was born to sell.
Or just sell, yeah. I like that better.
Just sell in general.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah.
But I guess speaking on that same
Born
line,
to be.
Yeah.
And I think the theme of all of our episodes, not all, but a very vast majority of them, would be go for it.
Sales? That's what I was going to say, speaking about sales. I'm sorry, I don't know. We just run this. I was going to say, speaking of sales.
I was going to say the direction we're heading with this podcast.
I know, that's what I was going to say after. So guys, speaking of like sales and like their direction that we're heading in this podcast.
All of that. It's fine.
Chelsea and I so we kind of, speaking on the subject.
Yeah,
we had kind of a sit down, because we realize now that some of the guests that we've been reaching out to and some
that we love.
Yes, that we absolutely love. And some of the subjects that we've been talking about aren't like sales specific. And I think that it's because we realize that sales is like kind of the base of every business. Is like, if you're not selling, you're not a business.
You're not growing.
And you're not growing. So from that, like, we've just been talking about a lot of people who are like growing their own business and like are
the
growing
whole entrepreneur type of a thing.
Exactly. And so we just like want to make you all aware that like, while yes, we are CJ and Sell,
and we sell freaking ish all day, every day.
100%. Yeah. We also want this podcast to also be inclusive of just like a holistic business mindset.
Yeah, like for example, we've talked about this a couple times. Like, it is okay to accept the fact that guess what, women? You can have a child and work, and that's going to be okay. Or if you're not ready for that, then don't feel like you have to be. Or if you need to dig down and find your why and your how, okay, cool, let's do that. I mean, there's just so many more things that we want to talk about other than just how to structure a meeting. And if you want, we can do that. And we
100%.
probably will do that. That's
Completely.
cool. But we want this to be like what you're saying for everything and everybody, so you can develop and grow and find, hopefully, I would hope, that you find some insight in some of this to make your strategies and techniques better.
Completely. Because it's not just beneficial for a salesperson to know about business. I think it's beneficial for anyone in any position to learn about business.
We're just like, I thought
and
that.
just like who you are and what you want to do and who you want to be. Because again, and we've said this a million times, if you are not right with yourself, if your mindset isn't right, then nothing else in your life is going to be right. And so,
and it's okay to go a different path.
Oh,
it's okay to be like, yes, this is it, but this little turn is only going to make it better.
Completely.
And it just speaks to you, then you just got to do it. That's how CJ and Sal has been for us this entire time. It's just been like, yep, that's it. Or maybe something hasn't gone exactly how we wanted, but we're able to learn from it.
Completely.
Which has been really exciting.
That's been really incredible. And I think it's great that we haven't really said no a lot, I don't think either. I think that we've just been like, oh, this person, like, they want to be a guest? Awesome. Yeah, let's have them on. Like, I think that it's been really great because we've learned so much about other people, and we've learned that not every single aspect of this podcast has to be structured completely about like cold calling tips or like whatever, which is wonderful and great, and trust me, who doesn't need effing cold calling tips, because cold calling is so hard. But like I think it's just been an awesome growth process, and so we just wanted to kind of share with you the direction that we're headed. And if you're like, why are you not talking about sales so much, it's because we do want to talk about sales, but there's a lot of other things that we can cover and touch on. So yeah.
Amen, sister.
Word.
So there's that.
Yeah, there's that. Speaking on that.
Yeah. Now let's see if we can guess what the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, on the count of 3. 1,
2, 3. Our
Instagram
guest.
buying.
No. Let's talk about Instagram buying. I forgot we were going to talk about that.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that.
Okay.
So, I don't know if you have ever been in your inbox and there's requests for messages and it's like, hi, follow me, I follow you. Hi, follow me. Or, hey, do you want to boost your followers by $20,000 to 20,000 followers this week? Then pay X. Stop.
I'm over it. I'm so over it. I accidentally, because I'm so dumb, I fell for it. I registered for one of those like free online seminars where it's like, I'm going to teach you in like 30 minutes, like some tips that I use to boost my Instagram. Which like, I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
If that's like what you want to do in order to like get people on like your email list or whatever, heck yeah, like do that. That's incredible. That's amazing. For a month now, I've gotten 2 emails a day asking me to give this effing person $5,000 for their 6-week Instagram sales boosting program.
Bye.
I want to stab myself in the throat. And every single day, it is like so like scammy. Like all, and they did the reply thing that we said before that we said was scammy. RE, blah, blah, blah. Like they've done every single salesy, scammy, scummy thing in the book. And it literally is driving. And this account has account has like 3 million followers. It's not like they're just some random person. And it makes me so mad seeing huge, big brands doing scammy stuff like that. And I think that it has been, people are trying to copy that, and people are just assuming like, oh, well, this big brand did it, like I can for sure do it. And so I feel like all like my following count for the past month and a half has been at the exact same number, even though I've had like 100 different accounts follow me. Because they'll follow you, and then they'll unfollow you the next day, and follow you, and unfollow. And it's just
Who has time for that?
It's like, you're getting on my nerves. You're an extra notification on my phone. Stop doing that. I'm not going to follow you. I don't know you. I'm not interested in your dumb posts. I'm over it. I hate it. It's driving me it's literally driving me insane. It's driving me crazy.
It really is. It's a lot.
And it's just really
I like to see things that I'm cool to look at it like an ad, or if someone's pitching a product that I'm really genuinely interested in. Mm-hmm. All about it. That's great. Sure.
Oh, for sure.
Or if I like reading about it or seeing it, then sweet. That's cool.
All for SpawnCon. All for sponsored content. I'm totally down with that.
Yes,
that does not bother me in the least bit.
Yeah, but
because
all this like garbage, like you follow me, I follow you, or for $20 you can get X, Y, Y, Z or whatever. I'm just
it's
okay. So you're gonna give me 10,000 followers, and I'm gonna have the same 119 likes per picture. Thanks.
Exactly.
That's not weird or anything.
Yeah, and that's what. So Josh, our guest that is you're gonna hear later in the podcast, he was talking about that, and that like it's one of his biggest pet peeves, because when he started, he had his like Instagram blew up because of his blog, and now he's been like kind of at the same number for the past like year or so, just because he's not doing any of that. Yeah. And because all of his other friends are like paying for all this stuff, and like paying for like followers and paying for likes and all this stuff. But what that does is it messes with your algorithms. So you see him, and he has all these incredible sponsors. Like, I mean, he's partnered with like Blue Moon and these like huge brands, because he can show them like, hey, I don't do anything to like boost my page. This is my actual like engagement post, and this is like people who follow me, and the people that are liking me, they're doing it constantly, and they're constantly coming to my page and seeing me and liking my stuff, because his engagements are exact and beautiful, and they're organic,
and he did it himself.
Exactly. So he's able to go to these big companies and be like, oh hey, like this is actually my engagement, when really like someone who like pays someone to do stuff, it's not gonna be the same, and it's gonna be way less, and the demographics on that are going to be way skewed and way weird. Like, he knows exactly his demographics that follow him, so, and he can like spit them out like crazy.
And that's one of the reasons why I started following him, was I would see his like posts, because he goes around Louisville and does pictures of like parts of Louisville and reviews, and just like really good pictures. And so that's why I started following him. I'm like, Lee, I just messaged the Kentucky Gent to be on the pod, and she's like, I know him, I'll just ask. I'm like, okay. Oh my gosh, like, to be Lee, for real. There's been a couple of people I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna message them. She's like, I have their phone number. I'm like, oh well, that's cool.
When you've done it all, you've seen it all, Chelsea. But yeah, I was going to make a really good point, but I don't remember what it was.
My point is, if you're interested in learning a little bit about the Instagram, maybe you're thinking about working on your Instagram game, that's something you want to do, or maybe you're just intrigued by how it even works. I think this is a pretty good, insightful episode to just, okay, that makes sense.
For sure. And I think, this is the point I was going to make, is I like his content because it's not like he doesn't like format it like everyone else formats it. It's like Chelsea and I were talking about this earlier, where it's like, can we just chat about anxiety, or like, can we just chat about something real quick?
Okay, guys, I've got to talk about this.
We've got to talk about, like, and then it's like ... Do you ever feel like crazy? And then it's like 7 emojis, and it's like, oh my god, yes, I feel crazy right now for reading your freaking Instagram posts. Like, his stuff is like, hey, I went to Naive the other day. It was incredible. This is what I ordered.
Really
it's great. This is a little bit about them. It's like actually like organic, informational,
like good stuff,
useful. Like, oh snap!
Now I've actually gone to a restaurant in Louisville because I saw a post like that, or his post.
100%. I think I've gone to many places that he's posted about.
Yeah,
because it looks so great, and he actually cares about local businesses, and he cares about their products. He cares about how much time and effort they're putting into everything, and so. And that comes through on his Instagram. So when people say, like, be organic, be truthful,
be yourself,
his page is a perfect example of that.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then just, if that's something you're thinking about doing, then trust yourself. Trust that you have something to say or something to give. And that doesn't mean that you can't think outside the box. You got to think outside the box.
You have to think outside the box now, because people are just going to get annoyed with
We're in
you
a
for
freaking
while.
hexagon box right now, so it's hard to get out of that, but
It's hard. It's very hard.
yeah.
But it's okay.
But it's possible.
It is.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So, on that tangent of Game of Thrones, not watching Game of Thrones, we might talk about the same thing. Turns out we're not going to talk about the same thing. And then how...
Can you guys tell we don't write anything down? We just hit record and talk.
I know. One of my managers, he was, like, not my sales manager, but my branch manager, he was like, I bet you're putting a lot of time into, like, getting your episodes ready. I was like, bro... Me and Lee just are on a vibe, and we decide we're going to talk about this, and then we talk about it. Because it's genuinely, this is how we're feeling, and this is what we're going through, and it's, oddly enough, pretty similar to what the other person is going through. And so, we just want to be ourselves, and hope that maybe other people feel the same way, because...
Yeah.
If not, tell me your secrets. Why don't you start a podcast?
Yeah, please, I'd listen. Oh my gosh.
But anyways, side note.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, without further ado, I guess we will
Press onward.
jump right into our interview, right? Are we ready for the interview
We're
part?
ready for it.
Okay.
Yep.
Nothing else we have to talk about that I forgot because I'm really smart.
We'll save it for next pod.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Enjoy!
Yay! This is Josh. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of CJ and Sel podcast. This is Lee. Chelsea is not with us today. She's being a responsible adult and working like a loser. Just kidding. Chelsea, hope you're doing great. We're so excited today because we are here with the one and only Josh Johnson, aka the Kentucky Gent. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. So if you're not familiar with Josh, first pause the podcast right now. Go follow him on Instagram, the Kentucky Gent. His Insta is absolutely beautiful, has amazingly curated content. It's gorgeous. And I actually, and I don't even know if you remember this or not.
Oh, shoot.
So we've actually met like 9 or so years ago. We met each other.
I know that I've known you for a long time, but I don't remember how we even met.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Let's do
Because I
it.
figured it out. Because this week I was like, I know I've known Josh for a while, but like I don't remember how we met each other. It was in 2009, 2010. I don't remember the exact year, but it was when Lady Gaga came to Louisville and played at the Yum Center and went to Connections afterwards.
Yes.
And my friend Celia and I like got pulled up on stage for a costume contest.
That's right.
And she came out like and surprised everyone there. Everyone was wigging out. And afterwards, because like no one obviously knew it was going to happen, we went back into the audience and you found me and were like, hey, like I took photos for you. Do you want me to send them to you? And I was like, yes, oh my God, I freaking love you. And so you text me all the pictures and I was like, thank you, you're the best. So I was like, let's be friends on Facebook. And then that's how we first met.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I loved Connection back in the day. I took a ton of photos.
Oh
I was like
gosh.
the photographer for our friend group, like no joke.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Maybe you were the start of the Kentucky Gent like forever ago.
I was.
You
Oh
were.
man, I got
I
your first
remember,
content.
Yeah, I remember that night. That's insane.
That was the craziest night.
So
Yeah, so we've known each other for a while, and I
Yeah.
think that it's been so much fun just from following you on social media, like even from way back then, like watching you grow into this like brand and that has just been like so successful. So take us back, like how did you first begin the whole concept of the Kentucky Gent?
so I've been doing this about, I just added it up the other day, I think 5 to 6 years total. 3 years full time, actually 4 years full time. So I was working in retail for quite a while. So that's kind of where the idea originally stemmed from. I was doing like outfit of the day, post on Instagram, and I had a friend who was like, "You should start a blog," and I was like, "That's really stupid. I would never start a blog." And then here we are 6 years later. I did have a blog. So the name came to be because I left like retail management and became a buyer for a company. So I was traveling a lot to places like LA, New York, Vegas, things like that. And people were always like, "Oh, where are you from?" I go, "I'm from Kentucky," and they were always very surprised because I didn't fit the traditional mold I think people in Kentucky look like, or how they have their hair, or they don't have tattoos or things like that. That's where the name came to be, and it's kind of evolved over the years from like a fashion, like personal style blog into more of like a lifestyle approach. So where to eat, where to travel to, cooking, recipes, cocktails, a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So from the blog, you have now, because here's my thing, is like I understand like the idea of like an influencer and like having a successful Instagram, but I literally don't know like how you can get from like point A of like starting your social media, starting a blog, to now be like getting paid sponsors and, you know, having all these partnerships. So how did your first kind of like paid, you know, couple paid gigs, couple paid sponsorships like come about? Was it you reaching out? Were people reaching out to you? How did that happen?
So I will fully admit that I am a horrible business owner and I'm so bad at reaching out to people. I could do a lot more business if I was just actually like proactive and was like, hey, let's work together. I do that a little bit when I travel, and like I can reach out to a hotel and be like, hey, I'm headed to your city. Would you be interested in partnering together for like a travel guide to like wherever your city is? Traditionally, most people reach out to me either directly or through a PR firm. So that's where social media comes into play, and having like a strong social presence and being active on platforms. Also, for me, my blog comes in handy because if you search like Louisville blogger, I'm one of the first that pulls up. And Louisville is kind of a really hot like topic and hot city right now, especially like bourbon and tourism and travel and food. And Top Chef was just here, so Louisville definitely is like on the up and up. So that plays in my favor as well. But the biggest thing I think is me being active on social, engaging with other influencers who are in my niche, or engaging with brands or agencies who I think also would be a good fit for me. So I can be on the radar, because a lot of people live in New York or LA, and it's a lot easier because you can run into the office and be like, hey, let's schedule a meeting, like I want to introduce myself to the client team or things like that. So I do take fairly regular trips to New York, at least once a year, to like meet the teams and make sure I'm on like at least like face to face with the people that I know that I work with.
Cool.
I do think the face to face stuff is still super important as far as that goes, especially being in a smaller city.
That's awesome. So you're partnered with a PR firm? You have a PR firm?
I do not.
You do not.
So a lot of brands, so PR world's weird, or marketing, whatever you want to call it. So some brands will have in-house stuff. So like they'll just have like, say it's like Lee at like Blue Moon, for instance. I was working with Blue Moon. So like they have an internal team, but then a lot of larger brands will have like just a marketing team or just a PR team and just a social team. So sometimes I'll get contacted directly from Blue Moon. Actually, Budweiser's a good example. I'm working with Budweiser directly through Budweiser.
Nice.
Like from their home office. But I used to work with Budweiser through their PR firm.
Okay.
So it depends on like how the brand runs their things. But some people have it in-house, some people have it out of house. But it's typically through like the client side of it. Like a client will reach out to me like, hey, we love your stuff, we want to work together on something. But then there are also like platforms that act as like a Bible almost for brands. So you can like literally like log in and be like, hey, I want an influencer that does X, Y, and Z, and then like we get like an email that's like, hey, do you want to opt into this? Say yes or no. There's a lot of that kind of stuff too, which that I think is kind of getting phased out a little bit. It's like the market's so large now. I think a lot of brands are taking it back into in-house. The positive with like platforms like that is for brand side is that there's a lot more analytics behind it. The positive for us is we don't have to send it over, because that can be a little redundant if you're like sending over stats, and like that's not what we got into business for. Like I'm not a numbers person. I don't like data and things like that. So for me, I like the creative like content side of it, not like the numbers and biz side.
That's awesome. So when you're creating content, do you try to think like, oh, like this is something that I would be into, or you're like, hey, this is what I think my followers would like, or is it kind of a mix of both?
It's definitely a mix of both. I definitely got way too off on the tangent of like only focusing on what people wanted to see, which I think is a good thing to do as a creator, but also it's much harder to talk about if you're only focusing on what people want to see from you. Obviously, like I need to appeal to my audience, and like whatever they like, I should post about more. But also to make sure that I like it. It's much easier to talk about content than like, oh, I actually like this. Not that I would post about something that I don't like, but it's easier to talk about things that I want to talk about. And make it relatable for an audience than just being like, oh, you want to hear about, I don't know, some random thing that I don't really love. We doing it just to make content for you guys. So it's I prefer to focus on what I like to do, and then try to spin it in a way that I can, if I am able to make it relatable to a larger audience.
That's awesome. So what's like your day to day? Like what's your like work? Do you wake up at like 6 a.m., do your thing? What is your, like, I guess work week kind of look like?
Work week kind of depend. Like last week was Derby in Louisville, so like last week was insane, and days were like typically like all night versus like day side. I slept most of the day because events run late. But typically like days start around 8 or 9 for me. I work out, go to Orange Theory, and then come home, have breakfast, do like coffee, check my emails, that kind of stuff. And if it's like an office day, so I'll be like editing photos or writing content or replying to emails, doing contracts, that kind of stuff. I try to split it up into like days like that, and then days where I'm making content, so taking photos, I'm out like at restaurants eating food or things like that. That way I'm not like jumping from that creative side of it, like we're taking photos and that kind of stuff, into like doing contracts or invoicing and things like that. So because for me, my brain doesn't function like that, so it's easier for me to split it into like segments. So each day is definitely different. Like some days I'll be traveling for work, like I'm headed to 2 cities next week and the week after.
That's awesome.
So those days are fun because those days are like I'm on the road all day and like scheduled like breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, all that kind of stuff, so I can experience a city and kind of like get photos and make content. I'm gonna do like a city guide for those cities.
Nice.
So it really depends on the day, the client. So it's kind of all over the place, which is fun and also not fun because I'm not the most organized person in the world. So it's somewhat nice to have a schedule as far as like getting creative, because I can definitely like do nothing all day if I'm not careful.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that I'm kind of the same way. Like I kind of have to schedule out exactly what I'm doing. Not maybe exactly what I'm doing, but I have to be like, okay, Tuesday I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper. I'm going to put it on a Post-it note, like on my wall or wherever. Because if I don't write it down, I can't just like wake up and like get in that mode. Like I have to plan to be in that mode.
Yeah, I'm the same. So a lot of times before I go to, if I have like a big day the next day, before I go to bed, I'll like write down like, all right, Tuesday. And I even put like gym, and then I'll put like coffee, and then I'll put like whatever. But I'm like, I know that I have to do those things, but at least in my head, getting it out of my head onto paper, I can stop stressing about it as much. I just have to like get it out of my head and onto something. Yeah. I think where my love of writing probably comes from more than anything is because like I can get things, if things are out of my head and I write it down on paper or put it into like an article, it's much easier for me to deal with it than to like, if it's in my head, I'll lay in bed for like 3 hours and be up to like 4 and be like, oh,
yeah,
tomorrow's gonna be a busy day, you should do this, this, and this, and this. But once I write it down, it's like done and out of my head and ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So you mentioned that you loved writing. So obviously you did start a blog. Were you into writing before that? Or did you just kind of start getting into it whenever you started blogging?
So actually I graduated high school with like 15 college credits in English. Like that was kind of what I thought I wanted to do, but I didn't really know how I was going to do it when I was like 18 years old. So I always loved English. I love writing. So yeah, it's always been a passion point for me, and also photography has been as well. So it kind of fell into my lap like a passion project turned into like a full-time job. It employs both things that I actually love doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When did you start getting into photography?
I mean, I've always, from long, like when I first remember, I've always had a camera in my hand. Like, I had digital cameras, those old clunky Kodak digital cameras, like growing up on trips and things like that.
For sure.
And I've pretty much always had a camera ever since then, even when it was just like iPhone. So I've always been attracted to taking photos. And over the years, it's been fun to like get a full DSLR and kind of self-teach myself on all of that kind of stuff and learn to edit and capture content and even do video sometimes now too. So it's always learning.
Nice. That's amazing. What do you see right now trend-wise, I guess, like in the influencer world? Is there like a certain like thing that's like really trending? Is there like a direction that it's going that you're seeing that you haven't seen before? I
think the biggest trend right now is that a lot of influencers are releasing their own collections or own product lines. I think that's like the next step for most influencers. Like Sangha Style just released her clothing collection with Revolve. Well, I don't know if it's out yet, but she has announced that it's coming out. And Damsel in Dior just released something as well with an LA-based brand. So I think that's the biggest like next thing is brands capitalize on influencers like clout in essence and their style taste, and then branding on that. There's actually an agency in LA called DBA, Digital Brand Architects, and they have an entire subset inside of the company that handles digital brand architect products. So it's or it's maybe it's DBP, so digital brand products. Yeah, it's like they use their influencers and they take them and like do like a nail polish line or like whatever, something like their niches. So they're really, DBA is like super smart and like kind of like the holy grail influencer like management teams.
Yeah.
So everyone that's kind of in that space wants to work with them because they honestly really do and truly understand what they're doing.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing that? Do you want to create your own line?
Not my own line. I'd love to have my own store one day, like a Louisville based store. I just don't know if Louisville's ready for that yet. I think retail spaces in Louisville are super tricky.
Yes.
And I think once our downtown is a little more built up,
Mm-hmm.
I can see it happening. They're like going to be like a flowers, like a plant store, not flower stores. I don't really love I love fresh florals, but it's not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Like a plant store and like a denim shop. It's like most of like my like very basics. Like I'm like a Madewelly, which is kind of really bad to say, but like
Right.
just like basics like jeans, tees, denim jackets, good boots, plants, and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I kind of see you with like your own line of like mixers, like
I can do that. Yeah,
bitters and like
Yeah.
all the like other kind of like the Kentucky Gent, like
yeah.
certain flavors of bitters for like old fashions
That's a
and
good
stuff.
idea. Yeah.
Anyways, write that down.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I
I'll
love
name
that.
one after you.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Just give me a shout out. don't need a portion.
Perfect.
Awesome. So I guess so you're from Louisville originally.
Yes.
Right. So grew up here. What is like your? I kind of like to give like any guest that we have like an opportunity to like really just chat about like what they're into, like what they're really passionate about, like what kind of like makes them tick. So what are you passionate about? Tell us about your background.
I mean, like I said, background, mostly retail. I also went to hair school, so
Nice.
it's an odd amalgamation of like a bunch of random things. I also wanted to be a chef growing up, so I think a lot of my passion points have merged into one, which is the blog.
Mm-hmm.
So from grooming and styling to like cooking and travel and photography, it's kind of all became one. Louisville's a great place to be right now for all of those things because like the culinary scene here is booming and the travel scene is booming here.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a great chance to work with a lot of like amazing brands who are visiting the city or coming to the city or expanding in the city, things like that. So it's been really fun to be on the backside of that and kind of help Louisville grow in the sense of me sharing like city guides or like where do you eat in this neighborhood or sharing favorite restaurants in Louisville and being able to really highlight and focus on like small mom and pop businesses that I think you would maybe know if you visited Louisville, but I think a lot of people like visit or Google and they're like, hey, like what's to do in Louisville? And it's like 4th Street Live or like the Slugger Museum or Waterfront Park, which I'm like, those are all amazing things. 4th Street Live's not that amazing, but they're trying to rebrand it and like do a better job. So like kudos to them for that. But like I think there are so many small businesses and like also I mean Louisville's known for like eat local, shop local, keep Louisville weird kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think a lot of cities in Kentucky are like that. So people still like venture towards like O'Charlie's or like Applebee's or Chili's or whatever. And like Louisville food just price point is very similar to a lot of those places anyway. I'd much rather focus and like celebrate and share places that are like small business owned by like either minorities or women or things like that versus being like, oh, I'm going to Louisville, I'm just going to go to Chili's because it's like I know Chili's is good. So I do my best to like highlight restaurants that I know will appeal to large audiences and then also are like good price points.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite restaurants right now in Louisville to go to?
Actually, just answered this on Instagram last night because someone asked. So, Eat Naive. I don't know why I said Eat Naive. That's their handle on Instagram. So, Naive, which is like it's a veggie, healthier focused concept in New Era in Butchertown. I love Feast for barbecue, fast cash concept. Grill House has amazing brunch and lunch. Silver Dollar for brunch or dinner. And then Cuvion, which is kind of a new concept in Germantown, but their food's absolutely incredible.
I've not been there yet. That's the only place I haven't been.
Yeah.
Oh
Their
my
patio is great too, and it's like
Really?
it's my backyard, so that's kind of why I go there quite a bit. And they have great happy hours, Mondays all day happy hour.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's like super, super nice.
That's awesome. What are some of the best cocktails you've had in Louisville?
Best cocktails, probably Mr. Lee's. I love Mr. Lee's.
Yeah.
Their smoked old fashioned is probably one of my favorite drinks that I've ever had. Also in my neighborhood, so super nice for me. Silver Dollar, I think their cocktail menu is just always rotating, but they also have incredible staples that they have on there all the time, which I really appreciate. And Hell or High Water. I love them. It's hard to get in. You have to make a reservation and like all that kind of stuff, which is kind of weird for Louisville.
Yeah.
I appreciate the concept and I appreciate what they're doing, so hopefully it catches on, but also I think it's a little hard.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Silver Dollar has that. Oh my gosh, it has like a jalapeno
Hearts on Fire.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my
it's so good.
gosh. Hearts on Fire. Everyone write that down and go have that at Silver Dollar
It's delicious.
right now. It's incredible.
Also, their summer cocktail menu just came out, and Forever Gin is on it. It's like my favorite margarita. It's like a lavender margarita. So you like margaritas, you should definitely try that too.
Ooh, all right, I'll have to hit that up.
It's delicious.
Definitely. So outside of Louisville, because obviously you do travel a decent amount, and not expose, I guess, highlight. You expose different brands. You highlight different brands in different places in different cities. What are some of your favorite cities that you've traveled to doing this?
First to mind would be Guadalajara, Mexico with Patron. I flew down with them for 2 days to experience their distillery, kind of show their process from start to finish. The team's amazing. The distillery's amazing. The process is great. They're like a completely self-sustaining, like eco-friendly green company. Whereas a little bit everything that's made in the plant is then, so all of the agave is then harvested and turned into like mulch or fertilizer and something like that. It's all given to their employees or used to grow food for the guest house on property.
Oh my gosh.
So like it's like a fully self-sustaining like ecosystem, which I really appreciate that such a large brand like that is focusing on something like that.
For sure.
And another large brand I worked with was McDonald's. I went to Chicago with them to their HQ to learn about their sustainability practices in coffee, because coffee is actually a super, super rough and harsh crop on the environment and like on the cities that it's grown in and the climates and all that kind of stuff. So they're fully committed to assuming going on their coffee by 2020, which is a huge commitment for such a large company. I didn't realize how harsh growing coffee is on like the terrain. Kind of zaps all the nutrients out of the ground. Then you don't grow it in certain places because it has to have a certain amount of shade and things like that. So they're working with a lot of like small farmers to kind of focus on like making sure that they're know what they're doing, and like also are like there for like the long haul versus like, I mean, it's a big company. They could easily like fast farm or fast produce like coffee from like some large farms where they're focusing on like small sustainability practices with like small farmers, which I really think is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? McDonald's. Okay.
Get it, McCafe.
Yeah, seriously. All right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So Chicago with McDonald's,
Yeah.
Guadalajara with Patron. That's awesome. Is there any like certain city in the U.S. that you're like, oh, this is super up, besides Louisville, obviously, oh, this is super up and coming, like, would love to go here eventually?
So I've already been there, but St. Louis actually really surprised me as far as their food scene goes. Like I spent 4 days there, like writing a food piece for their tourism department. Some of the best food I've had in a long, long time, and I was very pleasantly surprised by it. It's a 4-hour drive from Louisville, so it's really easy for like a quick weekend trip.
Yeah, for sure.
I had a ton of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So
I want to spend more time in Austin. I know they're like it's not like booming, it's not growing. It's already like a huge food scene, that kind of stuff. I spent 1 day there, but I want to go back and spend like and eat all the food.
Yeah, I'm going there next weekend.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, if you know any places, let me know.
Follow my friend, A Taste of Cocoa. She's
really?
a food blogger in Austin.
A Taste of Cocoa.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm literally
It's
going to follow her.
K-O-K-O.
K-O-K-O. Okay, I'm literally going to follow
She's
her.
amazing.
Awesome. Cool. Well, what's up next for you? I know you said that you're traveling a couple places.
Yeah.
Is there anything like new that we can be looking for in your content or?
No. I'm kind of getting back to like a Louisville focus. I kind of got off on that for a little bit. I was dating someone out of state for a while, so that made it a little like I was traveling more often to see him. And then that breakup, I kind of got waylaid for like a year afterwards. So focusing more on like Louisville content, like highlighting restaurants and new places, but also I want to kind of go to like the divey places and like Ollie's Burgers or like Dizzy Whiz or like Dairy Dell. Do like little bitty like iconic like Louisville staples for things and focus more on that kind of stuff for a little bit this summer and do like a little like 5 best like hole in the wall places to get a burger or things like that. So I'm gonna try to get back and do more of like a Louisville focus. That's where I got my roots. That's where I started at, was like Louisville focused everything. Yeah. And I kind of got away from it because I was traveling more often and things like that. So kind of like this summer, I kind of want to stay in Louisville and just like focus on like experiencing Louisville like a local and
I love that.
Doing festivals and getting ice cream at Dairy Dell and Dairy Castle. And there's so many dairy places in the name. But yeah, so that's what it's like the next thing for me, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Back to basics.
I think basics. I think a lot of us try to overcomplicate things and like do too much, and I lost a lot of like they're still there, but I stopped posting about Louisville as much. Like a lot of my audience kind of stopped commenting and engaging.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get back to like kind of those like basics for me and get that audience re-engaged.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, is there anything else? I like to do like an open forum, kind of like at the end of like a yoga class where you can just do whatever pose you want.
Yeah.
Like, is there any like open forum? You're like, hey, I'm really passionate about this, and we didn't talk about this, or like, hey, I really want to talk about this one dessert that I had like 2 weeks ago at like this one place, or
I don't think so. I think we touched on pretty much everything. I did my best to kind of weave in like things like the sustainability aspects or the greenness of companies that I've worked with, which I think is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have not visited Louisville, I definitely recommend it. Someone asked me recently what I love about Louisville the most, and I said it's the people that I love the most in Louisville. Like, obviously I love the food and I love the culture and things like that, but if you know someone from Louisville, you know like how much we love the city, how much we're so prideful of it being our hometown. Mm-hmm. So I think truly the people that call Louisville home are what make Louisville so special. Without any of us, we wouldn't have the food scene, we wouldn't have cocktails, we wouldn't have the tourism, we wouldn't have the distilleries back downtown. So Louisville's growing, but it's because of the people that call it home. We're so prideful of our city and so proud of it that we want to highlight it in all ways we can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell everyone where they can find you.
So I'm the Kentucky Gent on pretty much everything. I'm the KY Gent on Twitter because some douchebag has that handle and has not posted in like 8 years, and I've appealed to Twitter like literally I do it at least once a month.
Oh my gosh.
Because also the content on there is like super graphic and like not brand appropriate for me, so I'm like,
right.
please delete that. And they will not do it.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, other than that, KentuckyGent.com and KentuckyGent on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Instagram's like my platform of choice. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of like where I'm eating, where I'm traveling, what I'm doing, stories of my cat because she's really cute.
Yes. She is really cute.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. And we will see you all next week. Another episode of CJ and Cell. Chelsea will be back, I promise. I'll drag her back. You can follow us on CJ and Cell Podcast on Instagram or on Facebook, or you can join our secret CJ and Cell podcast group on Facebook if you just want to like bitch about your job or like talk about